Hello, dear viewers. My name is Fardin Nouri, and I'm a migration consultant in Germany. Today, I would like to explain for you how you can fill in the attachment child to the application for child allowance, which in German it is called Anlage Kind zum Antrag auf Kinderzuschlag. In the first part of this application, here you write the last name and first name of yourself as an applicant or as someone who receives the child allowance in his or her bank account. Here you should write your child benefit number or Kindergeld, which you already should have it as someone who already receives child benefit or Kindergeld. Here it says the attachment child to the application for child allowance from. Here you write the date of the application for child allowance when you apply for child allowance. Here it says that please mark those parts which are right about you or your child with a cross like this. For each of your child for whom you apply child allowance or Kinderzuschlag, you have to fill in a separate Anlage Kind or the attachment child. If you do not live with the other biological parent of the child together in a household, please also fill in the attachment maintenance and maintenance advance payment or Unterhaltsvorschuss for this child, but only under the following conditions. First, if you do not receive maintenance or maintenance advance payment or Unterhaltsvorschuss for the child, or you receive less maintenance for the child than monthly 187 euros for a child aged 0 to 5 years, 252 euros for a child aged 6 to 11 years, or 338 euros for a child aged 12 to 17 years, and you do not receive an additional maintenance advance payment or Unterhaltsvorschuss for the child. In the first part of this application, you write the information about the child for whom you apply child allowance. Here you write the last name and the first name of the child. Here the nationality of the child. Here the date of birth of the child. Here you mark your relationship to the child. If this child is your biological child, you mark here. If this child is a biological child of your partner, you mark here with a cross. If he or she is your stepchild, you mark here with the cross. And if he or she is the stepchild of your partner, you mark here with the cross. If this child is currently going to school, you mark here with the cross. If this child is currently in a stationary facility or inpatient facility, you mark here with the cross. If this child is currently doing a vocational training, you mark here with the cross. If this child is studying, you mark here with the cross. If none of these things mentioned here are true about your child or this child, you mark here with the cross. Part 2 is about the additional needs of the child, and the information you provide here is voluntary and only needed if you want to apply for additional needs for your child. If your child has additional needs, for example, because of the pregnancy, disability, inability to work, or he or she needs costly nutrition, you mark here. or Ja with a cross. Ja here means yes. For each of your child for whom you apply child allowance or Kinderzuschlag, you have to fill in a separate Anlage Kind or the attachment child. Approval notice for benefits for participation in working life, which in German is called Bewilligungsbescheid über Leistungen zu Teilhabe am Arbeitsleben. Attachment additional needs in the case of costly nutrition, which in German is called Anlage zum Mehrbedarf bei kostenaufwendiger Ernährung, KIZ 7, approval notices or similar. In part 3, you have to mark if your child has had any type of the following incomes in the last 6 months before this application. Note that if you are already receiving child allowance on an ongoing basis and apply for a seamless continued payment of it, in this case as well, the income of your child in the last 6 months is also needed to be proved for the Familienkasse. Here is a list of the types of income your child might have had in the last 6 months before this application. And here is a list of the evidences you might attach with this attachment and send it together with this attachment to the Familienkasse. If the child has had salary from vocational training or employment or a job, then you have to send a copy of his or her payroll for the employment or mini job or Nebenjob, and you mark here with a cross, or you send a copy of the certificate of earnings of the employer, which in German it is called Verdienstbescheinigung des Arbeitgebers, and you mark here with a cross. If the child has had an income from a self-employed work, you have to fill in the attachment to income from self-employment, which in German is called Anlage zum Einkommen aus selbstständiger Tätigkeit, and send it with this attachment together to the Familienkasse, and you mark here with a cross, or you send to them the other evidences, for example, tax assessment for the last 6 months, which in German it's called Steuerbescheid für die letzten 6 Monate. Part 3 is the continuation of the income. It's also about the income. Here are the types of the income the child might have had. And here are the list of the evidences or proofs you might send to the Familienkasse about the income of the child. If the child has had other types of income, such as these mentioned here, as a proof or evidence about it, you send to the Familienkasse one or more than one of the following notifications. The notification about citizenship benefit or Bürgergeld, which was previously named Arbeitslosengeld, or you send the notification about the social benefit or Sozialgeld, and you mark here with a cross. The notification about the unemployment benefit or Arbeitslosengeld, and you mark here with a cross. The notification about the sickness benefit or Krankengeld, and you mark here with a cross. The notification about pension or Halb-Orphans-Pension, which in German they are called Rente oder Halbwaisenrente, and you mark here with a cross. The notification about social assistance or accident insurance benefits, and you mark here with a cross. The notification about BAföG, scholarship or vocational training allowance, and you mark here with a cross. The notification about benefits for asylum seekers, and you mark here with a cross. And other state benefits, for example, compensation according to paragraph 56, Infection Protection Act, BAföG, loan, and etc. And you mark here with a cross. If the child is received maintenance or maintenance advance payment or Unterhaltsvorschuss, about the maintenance, you have to send a copy of the bank statement of the person who has received this maintenance in his or her bank account, and you mark here with a cross. You should also fill in the attachment maintenance and maintenance advance payment, which in German it is called Anlage zu Unterhalt und Unterhaltsvorschuss for the Familienkasse. If you do not live with the other biological parents of the child together in a household and receive less maintenance for the child than monthly 187 euros for a child aged 0 to 5 years, 252 euros for a child aged 6 to 11 years, or 338 euros for a child aged 12 to 17 years, and do not receive an additional maintenance advance payment for the child. In addition, you should send a copy of the notification about Unterhaltsvorschuss or maintenance advance payment to the Familienkasse and mark here with the cross. If as an applicant you do not receive maintenance or maintenance advance payment for the child, and you do not live together with the other biological parent of the child in the same household, please always fill in the attachment maintenance and maintenance advance payment or Anlage zu Unterhalt und Unterhaltsvorschuss and send it together with this attachment to the Familienkasse. If there are other types of incomes, for example, interest income, tax refunds, severance payments, tips, and so on, you mark here with a cross. In part 4, you provide information about the fact that which type of the expenses your child had in the last 6 months before the application. Note that if you're already receiving child allowance on an ongoing basis and apply for a seamless continued payment, and there has been no changes in the expenses of your child, you should provide evidence about the expenses of your child for the last 6 months before this application to the Familienkasse. If your child has had Werbungskosten or advertising costs as a proof or evidence, you should provide to the Familienkasse one or more than one of these things listed here. To prove travel expenses to workplace, you should provide to the Familienkasse a list of working days and car use, kilometers traveled, and or public transport tickets. And you should mark here with a cross. Proof about the expenses in the case of double housekeeping, and you mark here with a cross. Proof about additional meal expenses, and you mark here with a cross. And if there have been other income-related expenses, you mark here with a cross and provide a proof about it to the Familienkasse. If there have been insurance premiums or insurance fees as evidence, you can provide or you should provide one or more than these evidences mentioned here. Kfz Haftpflichtversicherung ohne Voll- oder Teilkasko. If you provide this evidence to the Familienkasse, you mark here with a cross. It is worth mentioning that it is a motor vehicle liability insurance. If your child has had pension contributions, for example, Riester pension, you should provide to the Familienkasse a copy of the notification about it, and you should mark here with a cross. If your child has had other insurance premiums, you should provide a copy of notification or a copy of other type of evidence about it and mark here with a cross. If someone has paid maintenance for your child, you should send a copy of the maintenance title and bank statements to the Familienkasse, and you should mark here with a cross. This part is a note about the data protection, and it says that your data will be processed on the basis of the Federal Child Benefit Act and the Social Security Code. The purpose of the processing of the data is to check your entitlement to the child allowance. More information about the processing of your data by the Familien Benefits Office or Familienkasse and your rights under Articles 13 to 22 of the General Data Protection Regulation can be found on the internet on the website of your Familien Benefits Office or Familienkasse under the website www.arbeitsagentur.de Datenschutz-Familienkasse. There you can also find the contact details of the data protection officer. And it also says that the child allowance files are usually kept for 6 years after the end of the last child allowance payment with them. And here you assure that all information you have provided in this form is correct and complete. And you agree with the collection, processing, and use of your information and the information of your child, which are required for the payment of the child allowance by the Familienkasse. And here you write the date on which you will send this attachment to the Familienkasse. And here is an applicant you should sign, or your legal representative should sign here. Thanks a lot for watching my video. If you would like to get similar important information about the immigration laws in Germany, your rights and duties in German society, the living conditions in Germany, and other such important topics, please subscribe and follow our channel. If you have any questions or remarks about today's topic, you can write it under this video and I will be more than happy to answer it for you.